Let's talk ethics in cryptocurrency advertising. So, this is a subject I've been meaning to cover for a little while because I think it's important. And since I'm just now getting around to monetizing a little bit more of my content, I figured this would be great timing for it. For some reason in the crypto world, we have this sort of idea that people are never being paid and they never have to make money for anything. It's a little strange when you think about the real world, right? Anytime you work, anytime you do things with your time, you need to find a way to feed yourself and your families and whatnot. And while people do sometimes do things on a volunteer basis, it is kind of few and far between. You generally have to spend most of your time actually generating revenue, which will allow you to keep living your life. But let's not forget that crypto is based on mostly open source software. And in the open source community, there's a lot of work that gets done that's not really for a company at the behest of a company. It's not really a profit motive, and there's a lot of donations that kind of get relied on. And so this is great for a lot of situations, but the world can't quite function this way all the way. And when people do tend to introduce advertising or things like that, there tends to be, oh, you're a scammer, you're a shill, you're just being paid, that's why you're doing it, and all that kind of stuff. And most importantly, it seems to introduce a lack of trust. Let's be clear about one thing. There's nothing wrong with being paid to do anything. It's just, I have limited time. I'm going to spend time doing something that someone else values rather than whatever else I could be doing. And therefore, they compensate me for my time. Now, where it gets tricky is when there isn't a proper disclosure of this sort of thing, first of all. So say you are talking about, oh, I love this great product or service. Here, why don't you go click this link and sign up and things like that. And you're just like, wow, this person must really love it out of the goodness of their heart. And then you realize later, oh, they got paid to say that. And therefore, I trust it a little bit less now and I kind of feel betrayed. Now, there's nothing wrong with getting paid to allocate some time or some space on whatever you're doing to the concept of advertising, to a company, or something that you would not necessarily be number one on your list. But what people are concerned about is the sort of neutrality or trust behind your voice that comes with that. Now you have a financial incentive to promote something like that. And therefore, when you talk about it, you can't quite be trusted about that anymore. Now, the easiest way to get around this, of course, is just have a trustworthy voice. Actually say accurate things, present them in a fair manner, and then you shouldn't have to worry about this sort of thing. Sometimes, though, I do find content creators do unfortunately fall down a path of they start going after the money first and then the subject matter second. So, no joke, a major crypto YouTuber once asked me when I was working for Dash to pay basically 10 grand to have them talk about the project at all. Otherwise, he wouldn't even look into it. That's kind of the extreme end of the spectrum, I would say. And the other end of the spectrum, of course, is you just do it for the love. You just do it and don't accept anything as far as financial or otherwise compensation for that. Although, I would argue you are still getting compensated in attention and accolades and time and possibly business opportunities from that. And nothing really is free. So, when trying to wrap my head around what I would feel comfortable doing and talking about, it always comes back to that initial thing of trust. Of if you are talking to people, if you're presenting information, you want it to be accurate, you want it to be good. And if people can't trust you, that's when it becomes a problem. I don't think that people at their core have a problem. I mean, some haters might, but most people don't have a problem with you making money off of what you do. What they do have a problem with is when the money starts to make your voice not trustworthy, which is the entire reason they're listening to you to begin with. So for myself, what I feel comfortable with is anything that I absolutely use already, that I approve of, I like, I use in my day-to-day life, things like that. Those types of services and businesses are the kinds I would actively approach and say, hey, I'm already promoting you. I'm already telling about you because I like what you do and I use you. I can give you a little bit more time on my channel in exchange for a little bit of money. And this sort of proactive approach kind of guarantees I'm not just sitting there and someone says, here, bag of cash, talk about my stuff. And now I can't really just say, well, let me take the money and then just say, I'm going to think about it. I'm going to decide if I think this is a good project or not, because once you have the bag of cash, it's really hard to be completely honest with yourself. So for me to feel comfortable that my message is still the same and that I'm not making any kind of compromise, I prefer to just make up my mind about things first and then later go after and see if for a little extra exposure, a little, dedicated video, a little link down below or whatever, they'd feel comfortable with throwing me a little bit of extra money. And I already do this on LBRY. I mean, most of what I publish tends to be on LBRY as well as other networks. And because it's a decentralized platform where you don't have to worry about your content being deleted or taken down or anything like that, and it actually works pretty well, I actively send people over there and, of course, have a little referral link and get a few credits every time someone signs up and confirms their email and all that. So I figure I'll just continue the same thing. So everything I use in my day-to-day life, I will see if they want to throw me some extra. And if not, well, I'm not going to stop talking about them. And, if they do, well, great. And then we'll see where it goes from there. Ultimately, I could be doing a million different things in life. And what I do right here is a deliberate choice. And it's definitely not a choice because it's super profitable. It's a choice because this is a technology that I think will really liberate the world in a whole lot of ways. And I really believe that this is one of the most important ways to advance the cause of human freedom and therefore well-being forward. And so I'm in the space and want to explore it and talk about it and spread the word because that's something I'm good at. I'm not a developer. I can't do that. And so I'll do whatever I think I need to do in order to make sure that my voice is actually something good and not just a revenue generator for me. Yeah, so that's about it. So what do you think? What do you think about the ethics of advertising in crypto? What do you think should be disclosed? Do you think some things shouldn't be promoted at all? What do you think, if you're a creator, what kinds of things would you feel comfortable with? Would you be comfortable with donations, sponsorships, any of that stuff? Doing specifically paid spots? What kind of disclosure would you do? It's a very interesting subject, and I do kind of want to hear what you have to say. So yeah, let me know in the comments wherever this is. And yeah, that'll be great.